How can we find authenticity and get spiritual clarity? That's the topic that we're going to address today on Flourish-Meant. I'm your host, Tina Yeager. And this week's guest is Tyler Galden. He is a viral TikTok pastor. He's also the senior pastor at Hillcrest Baptist Church in the Nashville area. And he's an author and the spark behind the Unspeakable Joy movement. And I had a great interview with him on site at the National Religious Broadcasters Convention in Nashville. You may hear a little background noise, but it's totally worth listening to this amazing interview with this incredible pastor who has insights for you on authenticity and spiritual clarity. I can't wait to share this interview with you. I know you're going to enjoy it as much as I did. Welcome, Tyler. I am so thrilled to feature your message on Flourish-Meant today. How needed is spiritual authenticity in today's culture?
Well, thank you for having me. And we've come so long and been down the road so far. We've lost so many people because of hypocrites and because of people that are one way, but they act another way. And I think what we're seeing today, what I'm seeing, and you're probably seeing this as well, we're seeing people that are yearning for reality. They're yearning for something that is real, something that is authentic. And so that is the need for people like you, people like me that are in the ministry and are trying to help people. If we can just be true and real, that's what people are yearning for. So I hope that we're doing that. I hope I'm doing that. I hope that people are seeing that, and that's where I'm sitting right now.
So how do we cultivate that? I've heard that there is a famine of authenticity, and particularly younger generations are becoming very disillusioned by that.
Yes, ma'am.
So how do we overcome that? What are the practical things that we need to do at home, individually, in our families to make this work?
That's a great question. I would say the first thing you have to do is you have to crucify the spirit of comparison. We live in an age where everything we do is through a screen. I can see everything that somebody else does, and it appears that's the reality. But we all know everybody puts their best picture on. Now, social media has built-in filters and all these things. When I gauge reality by what I see from somebody at a distance, and I think that that's what I have to be. So the first thing I have to do as a father, I've been married for 17 years, I've got to crucify their life is not my life. And kids, we see this through social media, TikTok, YouTube, things like that. I want to learn from somebody. I don't want to mimic somebody. I want to see what's good about them and how can I implement that into my life. But I can't gauge my life by them. So you've got to crucify the spirit of comparison. The second thing that you have to do is you've got to learn to be comfortable with who God made you to be. If I spend my entire life running from what I am, I never arrive anywhere because you spin yourself in a circle. If I can be comfortable with what God's made me to be, that's difficult. That's difficult for anybody. No matter how successful you are, if I learn to just be comfortable in my own skin, if I can do those two things, I'm on the pathway. And that's what people have to do.
When you look at yourself as a spiritual leader,
Yes, ma'am.
how do you ask yourself that question? Because we're seeing that as a problem
Yes, ma'am.
in spiritual leadership right now. How do you see that being just a battle for those who are leaders spiritually and in the home and, everywhere? In every form of leadership, we struggle with authenticity and that comparison trap.
Yes, ma'am. If I'm thinking about that, the word that came to my mind was peace. I have to gauge that based off of when I'm at peace with myself. I'll go back to the first part of that question. What I have to do, figuring out who I am, what God's made me to be, where God wants me. When I'm in that thing, am I constantly uneasy? Am I constantly search, or do I just feel comfortable? I say gauge it by peace. The mother, the husband, the teenager, the college kid. When are you comfortable? When are you at peace? When is your mind not racing? That's what you've got to walk in. So as a leader, what I have to do is I have to be at peace. So I've got two kids. I've got one that's in heaven. I've got two down here that are on earth. My two kids, my son is in his middle teens. My little girl's getting ready to be a teenager. I look at them, and here's what I find as a leader in my home. When I'm restless and uneasy, it filters. It goes down to them. It flows down. It's a cup that runs over being shaken. If I can be at peace, that's what flows. I say that because as leaders, you can find a people that are restless. You'll find a leader that's restless. It's because it's a trickle-down effect. When I can be at peace, when you can be at peace, those that are around us, those that serve with us, that peace flows. So that would be my answer. That may have gone around the world, but that would be my answer. Find peace, walk in that peace.
Are people looking for peace in all the wrong places,
Yes.
though?
Yeah.
So how do they know what is the correct type of peace? It's not just comfort. There's a difference
Yes, ma'am.
between being comfortable and satisfying and self-soothing and actual true peace. Can you describe the difference there?
Okay, comfort and peace, dead on what you said, they are two things. Comfort is when you are at ease when things are easy. Peace is when you're at ease when things aren't easy.
Oh.
There was a story that I read a long time ago. This king put out a competition in his kingdom. You may have heard this story. If you have, it's a great story, so I'll tell it. This king put out a competition. Could the artist in his kingdom draw peace? He wanted to know what it was like. He said, if someone can draw peace for me, then I will pay them, and he named a handsome sum. So all the artists came out. The day came for their payings to be revealed, and the king went one by one. He looked at the one, and it was a serene lake, not a ripple in the water, birds singing in the air, and the trees not moving. He said, that's not it. He said, I've never felt that. And on he went, and each one was like that. It was a calm lake or a calm forest. And he got down to the end, and the painting was almost a contradiction. There was a storm. Lightning was flashing. You could see the clouds were rippling. The rain was falling. But in the middle of that storm, there was a mama bird in a nest with her wings over her chicks. The mama bird was hunkered down, but the chicks, it was almost as if those little birds had a smile on their face. And the king said, that's peace. Peace is not the absence of conflict. Peace is the presence of something that calms me in the conflict. People are looking for peace in all the wrong places. And in fact, we're in the first generation, I believe, that have no idea what it is. And they spend their life going from thing to thing, hoping to have no problems. That's not peace. Peace is when you're at ease, when everything else is not. That's what real peace is.
Do you think part of the problem is that we have an aversion to discomfort and pain, and we'll do anything to avoid that? And that isn't really what grows us. It's not what keeps us stable. Can you talk about that?
Mama used to say this, okay? Mama used to say there's a danger to the trophy generation. And it is true. When you're always rewarded for anything, you never begin to learn that there are ups and downs, and that the downs are this and the ups are that. We go to this now, people, they can't stand to be uncomfortable. They've never felt it. They've never been made to feel it. I've got 2 children. I do everything in my power to make their lives good and great. But as my kids are growing, I'm finding one of the most dangerous things I can do for them is solve all their problems. Because whenever you realize that problems are real, we live in a sin-cursed earth that have issues and problems, then you begin to see, okay, how can I solve that problem? And that's what leads someone down the path of finding God, seeking God. Where can I find the ultimate solution? Yes, to answer your question, the biggest issue that we see today, people don't realize life is hard, life is tough, but there can still be joy in the midst of the toughness. We're doing our families, our kids, our people a disservice when we try to solve all their problems.
Such great, rich wisdom. And I know that you have more to offer. Where can people find your sermons,
Yes, ma'am.
get your book, and stay connected with you?
Anything that I have is going to be available on any plethora of platforms. All of our books are available exclusively on Amazon. You can find those. They simply search Tyler Galden. They'll all be there. You can find me on any social media site, TikTok, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube. All of that's there, and all of those sermons are all free. One of the burdens of my heart is I want to give truth to people, and I don't want them to have to pay for that. So they can go to any of those sites, or they can go to tylergalden.com and have a roadmap to all of those things.
Thank you, Tyler. I
God bless
appreciate
you.
you coming on the show today.
Thank you very much.